Scotty,
Yeah.
obviously we covered the other game, the 49ers and the Eagles, earlier on before this game kicked off. And we already knew that game was a shit show. It was a shit show, and it wasn't even... I mean, when it was almost embarrassing for us that we had to watch a team that couldn't even throw the ball. Turns out there was a torn ligament in his elbow, in Purdy's elbow, which he finished out the game and didn't throw a single pass because he couldn't throw.
He did. He threw 2 screen passes. Chris, give him some love there.
Give a little credit. So we were thinking, oh well, okay, well maybe that's the weirdest game out of the way. We'll have, the Kansas City and Cincinnati game comes up. Scotty, we went offline. You went to a buddy's house. I watched it here at the house. And, over the course of that game, it seemed like, there were certain things that happened and a lot of people after the game talking a lot about how referees played a big part in this. I have my take on it. I put a little bit of that in the Discord. The fact that I have maybe I'm defending the Chiefs here in this game a little bit, defending the referees and how this game played out. But I'll get to that in a little bit. This game ended on a last-second field goal, much like, every close game that these two teams play in the playoffs, Scotty. I mean, it was an exciting game from that standpoint where it's like, there's coming down the stretch. Patrick Mahomes has the ball at the end of the game, and he's got like 30 seconds or under a minute to come back and make something happen. And sure enough, that's what happened. Now, how it happened, you never want to see. There was a scramble, and Patrick Mahomes ran to the right-hand sideline, and they were approaching field goal range, Scotty. And late hit out of bounds, ends up getting a 15-yard penalty, which sets up the final field goal. Now, to me, and we've talked a lot about this in our Discord server. Again, join our Discord server. We have a lot of great conversations talking sports. You never want to see a game decided by a penalty kick in soccer, by a foul in NBA, by a penalty. I mean, is it if it happens, it happens, and you got to call it. Which, regardless, it is what it is. You just don't want to see something ended like that, right? But it was a late hit. Absolutely a late hit. The Chiefs come down, hit that field goal, and win. But everybody, I know Lazy Dumpers in the chat, he's talking a lot about what everyone else is talking about, how this game was given to Kansas City and all the calls and everything else. Scotty, I'll let you go ahead and talk a little bit about yours, and I'll since you experienced it, you watched it, you're a Kansas City fan, and I'll talk about my side once you're done.
I mean, listen, Chris, I bask, and this is hilarious to me that people are like, "Oh, the refs handed the game. The refs decided this game." Listen, I didn't want them to get in field goal range due to that penalty, but it was a penalty.
Yep.
There's so many, and everyone goes back to this stupid replay of third down, right? Which I get. That never happens. Super bizarre. So if you don't know, it was like 3rd and 9, I think, for Kansas City in their own territory. I think it was probably early fourth quarter at that point. And they run a play, only pick up like 5 yards or 4 yards. So it would have been 4th and 5, 4th and 4. But then all of a sudden, the refs meet and announce that they're going to replay that down because the clock had started prior to the snap, the play clock, when it wasn't supposed to because the prior play was an incomplete pass. On replay, you clearly see the back ref on the back sideline running in. So anyone that's like, oh, this game was fixed, it's the dumbest take I've ever seen. Because if the Chiefs would have, guess what? If the Chiefs would have picked up a first down right then,
you have to replay it. You have to replay it.
Replay the down. The ref running in, the play hadn't happened. He didn't know what was going to happen in that play. Either way, they were going to have to replay it. And oh, by the way, they replayed it. Then the Chiefs did get a holding call that gave them 5 yards and a first down. And then they went 3 and out and punted.
They
didn't even score on the drive.
That was
if anything, all it did is it took off another minute off the clock. That's it.
That was my point.
All that happened.
That was my whole point with that whole set of plays is nothing came of that drive, even if they would have gotten that first down, or even if they pushed the ball downfield a little bit further, they still punted. They still got stopped by the defense, which didn't result in any points being scored, and then they got the ball back. So it was just all right, well, what are we talking about?
If the fix was in on this game by the refs, they did the worst job ever. Let's keep in mind, they took a Kansas City touchdown in the first quarter off the board on a holding call, and I'm not saying it wasn't a legit call, but if they're trying to get Kansas City to win, don't make that call. So Kansas City instead had to settle for a field goal. In the second quarter, Kansas City intercepted a pass that they called pass interference on. It was a pass interference, but it was a bang-bang play where the refs, if you're fixing the game, could have easily just not thrown a flag there, because live, it looked very, very, very close. It was the right call, so they took the interception away from Kansas City. Totally legit. Fine with that. As for the holding on the scramble by Mahomes, there's literally Joe Thomas, Hall of Fame tackle, Dean Blandino, who's used to be in charge of all the NFL officiating crew and oversight on that. Both have come out and said there was not holding on that play. So that's not me saying it. That's just a Hall of Fame left tackle, or soon to be Hall of Fame left tackle, and the guy who used to be the oversight over the entire NFL officiating crews across the board for the NFL, Dean Blandino. So if they're saying that, everyone's like, oh, it's egregious. It's not. There wasn't holding on that play. I don't want to hear about it. The block in the back on the punt return, the guy was out of position, so he kind of fell over. I don't know. Maybe you want that call, but listen, no one wants to blame for this loss? No one wants to blame the Bengals.
Well, and that was one of the aspects I wanted to bring up, because this, what's up, Trev? How we doing, my friend? One team handled the lead up to this game a little bit better than the other team, Scotty. I mean, the Chiefs obviously were a lot quieter in the media, in the news. The city of Kansas City was not exactly out there as much as the Cincinnati fan base, where you had the mayor coming out and saying things, providing bulletin board material multiple times, 2 or 3 times. You have all of the Eli Apple stuff. You have all of the, Burrowhead and this and that. And if you noticed at the end of the game, Scotty, what popped up in every single interview done by, it was Mahomes talked about it, brought it up. Kelsey obviously brought it up and had some things to say about the mayor. But do you think they heard every single thing coming out of Cincinnati and it fired them up? Yeah, they did.
There's no doubt. And Chairman Gene, by the way, Gene Steratore should never be on air ever again. That dude's the worst. He is literally wrong all the time. I don't know why he's on air as a rules official expert. It's a joke. I definitely think, listen, Mahomes hears everything. He gets online, he follows stuff. He doesn't say anything back, but he puts it in his mind, and that uses that for motivation during the week. There's no doubt, the trash talking of, Eli Apple, the mayor.
It played a role.
Mike Hilton calling it Burrowhead. That played a role in, the Chiefs wanting this one really, really badly. And it's just, when you come down to it, everyone's like, well, the Chiefs shouldn't have won. They were handed the AFC Championship game. Chris, as I think I put in our Discord, the Chiefs had more yards. They had more yards per play. They had less turnovers. They dominated the time of possession. They won the game in every single metric. And oh, by the way, they had 3 of their wide receivers get injured and out in this game.
Not to mention, Scotty.
No one. He had, and not even a healthy Kelsey, and obviously not a healthy Mahomes. And guess what? Mahomes threw for 326 yards. Guess how many other players have thrown for 326 yards or more against the Bengals this year? 0, Chris. That is why he is the best player in the NFL. Listen, Joe Burrow's amazing, but there is a gap. Joe Burrow still had T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and only threw for 270 to Mahomes' 326. Joe Burrow had 2 possessions in the fourth quarter in a tie game to win that game, and he went interception, and then he got sacked by Chris Jones, and they punted it away. That led to the Chiefs winning this game. You know what? He didn't come through in those 2 drives. They didn't. Not just Burrow, their team in general.
Well,
Blame them. Blame them for not scoring when we had 4 rookies in the secondary because our best corner got hurt on the very first play and got a concussion. Like, we had 4 rookies in the secondary going against these guys, and they couldn't do anything.
Well, and not to mention all the sacks that took place in the first. I mean, the Chiefs were getting to the quarterback. The Chiefs were getting to Burrow. It was, 4 sacks or 5 sacks in the first half of that game? So,
well, I think total it was 5. I don't know.
Then
it
was
been all in the first half.
It was 4 in the first half because Joe Burrow was running for his life in the first half. That offensive line that we talked about being really good in the snow with Buffalo did not have the same success against Chris Jones and this defensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs. They owned him in the first half. And that is something that it's like when you're if you just solely focus on the aspects of what the referees did, but you don't concentrate on the 4 sacks in the first half and all the things that we just talked about when it came to the performance on the field. You got to look at the big picture. You got to look at the whole thing. You can't just take a couple weird calls out of context. I think the only one that I maybe had a little bit of a, oh yeah, you could call that, maybe you don't, is one of the intentional groundings that wasn't called or was called, whatever. There was one on Burrow, and then there was one that Mahomes threw that they didn't throw one, but it was like whatever. Like,
I don't think those were similar. Mahomes got hit when he threw. Burrow just threw that into the ground and was hoping that there was someone in the area. He literally just darted that into the ground. I thought both were right calls, but I know I'm biased, but I thought that was grounding on Burrow, and I thought Mahomes, I didn't even consider grounding because he got hit as he threw. So once that happens, you can't call grounding because that affected his ability to throw the ball. Plus, it was way closer to the receiver anyway.
So I am a lot less critical of the referees after this game than most people were, based off of just a lot of the facts that we talked about. Again, it didn't help the Chiefs out as much as people think. And that extra play, again, like you said, that extra third down play is a big piece of contention. And it's like that if Kansas City gets that first down, they have to replay it, and then Kansas City's fan base is pissed off and upset. So it doesn't really matter at that point. It's going to be replayed regardless. Someone's going to be upset about it, and that's all there is to say. So you hate to see it come down to a penalty at the end, like we mentioned. But takeaways from this game, though, I mean, are we seeing? Obviously, Brady. We're going to get to Brady retiring, but is this the next Brady Manning for the next? I mean, we got 2 young kids playing quarterback, going head to head. We have a rivalry with the Burrowhead thing and with the Kansas City Chiefs and this is one of the hotter rivalries that are fresh in the NFL. This strikes me a lot as like a Patriots, Colts, Manning and Brady kind of rivalry brewing. Scotty, what do you think?
There's no doubt. I think both these teams will be back next year. I think the Chiefs will be around for a very long time. I do have a couple question marks with the Bengals. And listen, this was the Bengals' best chance. This was it. Guess who is up for, if they want to sign an extension, can now sign one after year 3 now? Joe Burrow. Like, all their talent on offense at the skill spots outside of Mixon are all on rookie deals. Like, you're gonna have to start paying the piper. And my concerns there are a couple things. One, the Bengals owner is notorious for being cheap. So is he gonna lay out the money for these guys? And 2, you can't pay Burrow $55 million a year, then let's say pay T. Higgins $20 million a year and pay Jamar Chase $30 million a year.
Not gonna happen.
That's $105 million tied up to 3 guys, and that's what the market will bear for those guys. Shoot, Burrow could get to 60 probably if he wanted. And Jamar's, we just saw like guys like Tyreek Hill and that get $30 million a year. Jamar's on that level, and T. Higgins, frankly, is probably higher than 20 million. I said 20, but he's probably higher than that. He's probably closer to 25. He's a number 1 on probably 20 plus teams in this league. It just so happens they have Jamar Chase as well, so he's the 1B on Cincinnati. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bengals do moving forward and how, because the Chiefs are already in that spot. The Chiefs are paying Mahomes, right? He's not on his rookie deal anymore. He's getting paid, and they managed to have literally like 7 rookies in this AFC Championship game contribute, Chris. 4 in the secondary. Isaiah Pacheco, the running back's a rookie. The Sky Moore did the punt return that got him in position, another rookie. And Karlaftis, their defensive end, another rookie who got a sack in this game. So
he's been big all year.
Yeah, like they're set up. And not to mention, Chris, the Chiefs have like 12 draft picks in this next draft. I know you don't know what that's like because you guys, Dimmer's like F them picks. They're on that approach. The Chiefs are set up, and this was going to be in my opinion, this was the Bengals. This is the best Bengals team they're going to have. That doesn't mean they can't get hot at the right time and beat the Chiefs next year and win a Super Bowl next year or in the next few years. But strictly talent on paper, this is the best Bengals team we'll ever see, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's. I mean, 2 teams that are still kind of, at that top of their game. But yeah, you're right. They don't have as much of a runway as other teams do, especially the Kansas City Chiefs, with basically what they're paying a lot of these young kids and like getting, again, a lot of good production out of them.
When you're paying a quarterback $50 million a year, you have to draft well. And unfortunately, you're paying a quarterback $50 million a year, Chris, and you can't draft well because you don't have picks.
Well, yeah.
But we'll get into that with obviously Sean Payton coming up here. Reckoning those picks fuck back.
Yeah. Let me get to the chat real quick here. Backfield ref had a visible X Factor tattoo on his upper arm, says Cuban.
On his upper arm, he had an X Factor tattoo.
Yeah.
Are we sure that correlated to Dante Hall? Because I highly doubt it.
Cuban, he's got the eyes on those conspiracies.
I think he's joking. I think X Factor being a fan. I was thinking of Dante Hall, but now I'm actually putting it together.
Yeah.
He totally. That was X Factor. That back judge. No doubt about it.
Yeah, 100%. Snuck out and got into the
I mean, we all found out today through Arian Foster that the entire NFL is scripted. Chris.
Gosh, what was that?
Those are just handed scripts.
What was that about? That's the weirdest thing, man. That's like he's getting into Kyrie Irving territory and
like, what does he think's gonna happen when he says that?
I don't know.
Like, wild. Like, what did not to make light of this, but what did DeMar Hamlin think when he saw the script for that Monday night game? He's like, son of a really?
Damn. What did the 49ers
stop?
What did the 49ers say? What did the 49ers say on the script where they lose all their quarterbacks in the NFC Championship game?
Yep.
Oh, that's been memed it's been memed for the last 2 weeks. Like, people reading the script saying what they have to do.
Chris, if the NFL's scripted, why do different players make different amounts of money? Everyone should make the same. They're just doing what they're told to do. Everyone should make the equal amount of money.
Some play the role better.
They're all actors.
Some play the role better than others. Some are better actors than others. It's just how it is.
Give DeMar Hamlin $60 million per year then.
Right?
Trev Daddy, I want KC to win because of the quarterback, but I also want the Eagles to win because of the movie Invincible with Mark Wahlberg. It goes.
You do know that Mark Wahlberg is not going to be playing in this game for the Eagles. Or maybe he will. Maybe that's in the script, Chris.
Yeah, it's in the script. Mark Wahlberg comes out of nowhere, tries out for the team in between the Super Bowl week
They might have an opening on their offensive line, Chris.
Oh God.
I mean,
did you hear about that, Chris?
I heard some rumblings about. I didn't hear the full story.
Yeah, a backup lineman for the Eagles got charged today with rape and kidnapping that occurred back in 2019, reportedly. So, be interesting to see what the Eagles do there. I would think him being a backup and going into a Super Bowl with how much attention that could draw, you're probably just gonna release that guy, right? I think that's probably the smart decision, regardless of whether he's innocent or not. Like, you can't have that distraction headed into a Super Bowl, but Not a good look.
Not a good look. No.
Anyways,
That's on to the next topic. That's a heavy one there.
Sorry. I was just trying to say that Mark Wahlberg might be able to.
Mike Wahlberg can step in. Yeah.
If I had a nickel for every time the Bengals lost a playoff game because of a 15-yard penalty, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't much, but it's weird that happened twice.
What was that last year? Are you saying in the Super Bowl?
Nope.
Oh, against your Steelers. That's what you posted in the Discord. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, I even did a post about that.
Yep.
It's in the room.
Well, either way, we have the matchup set. We have Eagles. We have Chiefs. We have a lot going on. I already have a couple prop bets out that that I want to share with you guys next week, and I'm going to add to them. We're going to have our big Super Bowl special next Wednesday, a week from today. We're going to be talking prop bets. We're going to be talking football food. Maybe we'll have an NFL food draft, like a food party draft or something. We could do that. We'll have a breakdown.
Chris takes leftovers number 1.
Don't sweat. Don't. Leftovers are always solid, especially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Depends.
Who knows? We'll have just an NFL Super Bowl extravaganza next Wednesday. Scotty's gonna have some best bets. I'm gonna have some best bets. We have been crushing all season long. We got to end on a high note. We're gonna have all the obscure ones. I mean, the Gatorade bath and what color that's gonna be. We got the coin flips. You got all the different things. But we'll dive into all those next Wednesday.
What I'll say right now as just a clue, if anyone's thinking about betting on the spread of the game, if you like Philly, wait to bet them. If you like the Chiefs, and this is with the spread, bet the Chiefs now. If you like Philly, wait. I think this line will move by kickoff as long as some of these Chiefs wide receivers, if they end up being healthy, I think that the Chiefs will end up being probably close to 1.5 to 2 point favorites.
What's the line right now?
Right now,
I think
the Eagles are minus 1.5.
Really? Eagles are the favorites.
Mm-hmm. As of right now, I don't think it'll end that way, but as of right now, yes.
I mean, this almost feels reminiscent of what we saw with the Kansas City Bengals game, the Chiefs and Bengals, where it flip-flopped back and forth, where you had the Bengals favored at one point, then it flipped to the Kansas City Chiefs, then it was like all over the place. I could see something like that happening for this game too. Right now, yeah, it's and you're getting plus money, even money pretty much on Kansas City, plus 100 it looks like for money line. Philadelphia minus 118 on their money line at the current juncture, but yeah, we're gonna have a lot of betting, a lot of wagers that we're gonna be throwing out there next week. Hopefully, the kiddies are gonna be eating good. I know they will be.
They'll be